Good morning students, welcome back to my channel. So today is 14th lecture on electrostatic, and in today's lecture we are going to discuss some very interesting numericals which are based on electric flux and Gauss law. As you know, in my previous lecture I covered these two topics, electric flux and Gauss law. So today we are just going to discuss some of the numericals. Let's first recall what were the formulas. So as we remember, electric flux, these electric flux are the electric field lines which are crossing the surface in a perpendicular direction. So basically this electric flux is given as vector E dot dA. This E is the electric field and this dA is the area vector. So the dot product of two vector is itself a scalar. So flux is a scalar quantity. On removing this dot, we obtain EdA cos theta, where theta is the angle between direction of E and direction of area vector. One another approach was made to study the electric flux, that was Gauss. So as per Gauss law, electric flux is given as summation of Q, that is total charge, and this total charge must be present in a closed surface, that is in a Gaussian surface. So it must be present in an enclosed surface. So total charge present in enclosed surface divided by epsilon naught gives you electric flux. So these are the two general formula. So today we discuss numerical on these two. So today's numericals are very much important for very short questions. So just go through them very carefully. So moving to our first question. A charge Q is placed at the center of a cube. What is the flux passing through the cube? Now see, first of all, let us draw a cube. If this is my cube and in this cube a small charge Q is placed, I have to find the flux passing through the cube. Now as per Gauss law, flux is total charge enclosed in the surface divided by epsilon naught. So what is the total charge present is Q, dividing it by permittivity epsilon naught. So this will be the answer. Very simple approach, that is total flux will be Q by epsilon naught. Because we know if this is the charge, electric field will be coming in this direction, downward, backside, in every direction. So just total flux is total charge divided by epsilon naught. This is a very simple approach to the first question. So moving forward, so look at the second question. A charge Q. Again the charge is placed at the center of cube, just similar to the previous one. But listen, this time he is asking the flux passing through each face of the cube. In the previous it was asking from the complete cube, but here it is asking from the each face of the cube. So again let me draw a cube. So this is the charge Q. So according to Gauss, what can I say about the total flux? Total flux through cube. As we have seen, the total flux through cube phi equals to, that is Q by epsilon naught. This was the total flux, but this time I have to take each face. How many faces are there in a cube? If you remember, there are 6 equal faces. So in among these 6 I have to take any one. So flux through each face, so out of 6 you have to select any one. So flux through each face of a cube, so you just take 1/6 of it, so it will become 1/6 of Q by epsilon naught. So this is the flux through each face of the cube. So let's move forward. Look at my third question. A charge Q is placed at the corner of a cube. Again the cube, but this time the charge is placed at the corner of the cube, and we have to find the flux passing through opposite faces of the cube. Let me draw the plot. So suppose this is my cube and the charge is placed somewhat at this corner. You can take any of the 8 corners, but listen it carefully. Again and again I am saying, if you have to use the concept of Gauss, your charge must be enclosed. It must be covered by some Gaussian surface. So this corner charge is not enclosed completely. So the first approach is to enclose this charge. So in order to enclose this charge, you have to see this corner. To enclose it, I had taken one cube in this right side, And similarly I will draw one cube in the front side. So I think if you see, there are total 4 cubes in downward. These 4 cubes in down, and similarly I have to take the 4 cubes in upward direction also. So there are total how many cubes we are taking? 4 cube up and 4 cube down. So there are total 8 cubes. In this 8 cubes, while using these 8 cubes, this center charge is completely surrounded, means I have enclosed the charge. So moving to our approach. So what is the total flux? Total flux through cubes. So including this 8 cube, the total flux, it will remain same. What is the total charge in this? That is Q divided by epsilon naught. So this is the total flux. Now if I talk about flux through each cube, how many cubes are there? Total 8 cubes, and we have to take 1 out of 8. So it's 1 by 8 Q by epsilon naught. Now in this 1, again I have to take opposite corner. Now see it very closely. Just suppose I am taking this charge here. Now what are the opposite faces of this charge? One surface is this, one surface is this, and one surface will be this. So there are 3 walls. These 3 sides are opposite to this. There are total 6 sides. In 6, this back side, this right side, and this bottom. Back, right, and bottom. These are the 3 faces lying opposite to this charge. Or you can also say these are the faces on which electric field lines are perpendicular. Remember, we always count only those surfaces on which electric field lines are perpendicular, which means electric flux is always considered for those surfaces on which electric field lines are perpendicular. So in this cube, there are only 3 surfaces on which these lines are perpendicular, and out of these 3 I have to again take any one because it is talking about each. So flux through each opposite face of cube. So we are having total 3, and out of 3 I take any one, so it become 1 by 3 of this is your total. So 1 by 3 times of 1 by 8 Q by epsilon naught. So we'll get your answer 1 by 24 times of Q by epsilon naught. So this is a flux through each opposite face of a cube. Always remember, we take the flux only for the surfaces from which electric lines are passing perpendicularly. You just remember this thing. So it will be very much helpful for us. So we take only those surfaces from which electric field lines are passing perpendicularly. So see, this is very interesting question. A dipole. Now try to remember what is the dipole. Dipole means 2 equal and opposite charges. So if I talk about dipole, I means 2 equal and opposite charges, and their dipole moment is also given 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 Coulomb meter. Coulomb meter is the unit of dipole moment. So it is enclosed in a sphere. So they are asking what is the net flux coming out of the sphere. So see, let me first consider a sphere, and inside this sphere they have considered dipole. So suppose this is dipole. Dipole always contain equal and opposite charge. So this is plus Q and this is minus Q, and the dipole moment is 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 Coulomb meter. So I have to calculate net flux. So as per Gauss law, and if you all remember, what does the Gauss law say? It says that the total flux is equals to total charge enclosed upon epsilon naught. So just tell me what is the total charge present in the surface, that is plus Q and minus Q divided by epsilon naught. So our total charge is 0. So our net flux will also be 0. So it's a very important point you have to remember, that for an dipole, for an electric dipole, enclosed in surface your net flux is always zero. Just remember this point. For an electric dipole, whenever the question comes about a dipole, you just write the flux to be zero, because if I place here instead of 1, suppose I take one more dipole, this is also plus q1, this is minus q. I take here one more dipole, plus q minus q. So I can take as many dipole as I want. If I consider here as infinite dipole also, so in case of infinite dipole also the net flux will be zero, because see what is happening. If I take this plus q and this minus q inside the surface, now because of this plus, electric field lines will be leaving the surface. Because of this positive charge, electric field lines will leaving the surface, and because of this negative charge, electric field line will also entering the surface. So the number of lines leaving the surface is equal to number of lines entering the surface. I am talking about number of electric field lines. Number of electric field lines leaving is equal to number of electric field lines entering. So you can see the number of lines leaving is equal to number of lines entering. So if we talk about net, the net answer will be 0. So for any dipole, and how many dipole you can take, you have to always write the net flux equals to 0. Just keep this in mind. So moving to the next question. This is also a very simple approach. I have told you in my last lecture also that using this Gauss law, as per Gauss we know that net flux is total charge divided by epsilon naught. In this formula you can see the size of Gaussian surface. The size of Gaussian surface does not matter. So they are saying that if the radius of the sphere enclosing the charge is half. Now suppose this is the sphere, this was the charge q, and the radius of the sphere is supposed to be r. So we know the flux equals to q by epsilon naught. Total charge is q divided by epsilon naught. Now if I make this radius half, now suppose this is the radius r by 2 and the charge remains same. So again if we calculate the flux, it will remain q by epsilon naught, which means on increasing or decreasing the size of the Gaussian surface, electric flux does not change. So they are asking how does the flux changes. So you can just write no change in flux. Let's move to the next question. So see, there are two concentric spheres. They are not a circle. I am taking they are spheres, and they are concentric sphere, means they center coincide each other. One sphere S1. This S1 enclosing a charge of Q, and another bigger sphere S2, it enclosing a charge of 2Q. So there are two different spheres. They are concentrically, they are enclosing a charge Q and 2Q. So what you have to find, what is the ratio of the flux through S1 and S2. Now see, let's first solve the flux through S1. First we talk about this much. So let it name as phi 1. Just see at the surface sphere S1. So this is your sphere S1. How many charge are there present in this S1? Only Q. Total charge is Q. So flux is total charge divided by epsilon naught. This is your flux through sphere S1. Similarly, flux through sphere S2. So let name it phi 2. So see how many charges are present in this total sphere S2. Don't name it 2Q. Just look it carefully. Total charge present inside S2 is 2Q as well as this Q, because it is also a part of S2. So the total charge will be 2Q plus Q. So the total charge present here will be 2Q plus Q divided by epsilon naught. That is 3 times of Q divided by epsilon naught. So these are the two flux, and I have to find the ratio. So for ratio, just take phi 1 divided by phi 2, that is Q by epsilon naught divided by 3Q by epsilon naught. So you will get your answer 1:3. So this is the ratio of the flux. So let's see the second part of the question. They are saying that if the inner sphere, just look at the inner sphere S1. Suppose I fill this sphere with some dielectric. I have filled the sphere with some dielectric and the value of this dielectric is K. Now they are asking me to calculate the flux. Now see, we know that flux equals to total charge, which is Q divided by epsilon naught. But this epsilon naught is used only when we talk about air or vacuum. If we talk about air or vacuum as medium, only then we use this. But this time they have filled this medium. So this time flux phi1 will be Q divided by epsilon. Just try to remember, in our earlier lecture I have discussed about this two term. This is epsilon naught. When there is no any medium, yani simply air or vacuum, we take epsilon. But if we use any kind of medium, then we use here the word epsilon. And there is one relation. The relation was K, that is dielectric constant. It is written as epsilon by epsilon naught. So if we need to find the value of this epsilon, we can replace it K times of epsilon naught. So replacing the value of epsilon, we can write here Q K times of epsilon naught. So this will be our new flux passing from the S1. This is second part. So this is the second part, that is flux passing from the S1, Q by K times of epsilon naught, because I have changed the medium. Let's move to the next question. Calculate the number of electric field line. Now what do you understand by this term? The number of electric lines of force. Try to remember this meaning. The complete meaning of this sentence is electric flux only. In simple language I can say electric flux, or we can say number of electric lines of force. And in the question they are given the charge, which means charge is 1 coulomb, which is given, and they are asking to calculate you the flux. So only one relation is there, that is Q equals to phi equals to Q by epsilon naught. So they are asking for the phi, the value of charge is 1, and the value of epsilon naught, that is 8.85 10 raised to power minus 12. So it will give you the value of flux something about equal, it will be 11.2 into 10 raised to power 10, and the unit will be the unit of this value will be, it's actually Newton per coulomb meter square. So this is your electric flux for the charge. Now see, many times whenever they used to give the charge, they ask for the flux, and sometimes flux is given, they ask for the charges. So it's a vice versa kind of question. So move to the second question. Next question. Here again a charge Q which is placed at the top of the hemisphere. Now this is your hemispherical surface and the charge Q is placed at its top. They are asking flux passing through the hemispherical part. We have to find the flux only passing through this hemisphere. Now important question arises, our charge is not enclosed. So our first motto is to enclose the charge. Now how we are going to enclose? Suppose this is given to you a hemispherical. Now just take another hemisphere on this it. Half hemisphere is given, half part of a sphere is given. We have considered another half. This another half will be act as a Gaussian surface. Now you can say that our charge is completely enclosed. So if the charge is enclosed, we can calculate the total flux. So the total flux equals to total charge Q divided by epsilon naught. This total flux will from everywhere, from the upper part also, from the bottom part and everywhere. But I have to consider, as per the question, I have to take only hemisphere. Hemisphere is the half of this total. So the total flux through hemisphere only, we just have to take the half part. So taking it at half, it will become 1 upon 2 times of Q by epsilon naught. Let's move to the next question. Now this question has been asked many times in your board examinations. A cylinder is given and this cylinder is placed such that the electric field is acting along the axis of the cylinder, and all these things are given to you in questions. So let's read out the question. Cylinder is placed in an electric field as shown. Now you have to prove that the total flux passing through this cylinder is 0. I have to show that the total flux through the cylinder is 0. Now look at carefully the direction of electric field. This electric field is traveling in x direction only. There is no y direction and z direction electric field, only x direction. So sometimes they are also used to give it like E y equals to 0 and E z equals to 0. No need to confuse. They are just showing that electric field is 0 in x and y and z direction. So we have to take only x. Now look at carefully. Just tell me the surfaces on which electric field line will be perpendicular. If you look at carefully, you will find there are two surfaces. This part, left hand side and right hand side. On these two surface, this electric field will pass perpendicular, and on this curved surface, it will be parallel. I have told you earlier, to calculate this electric flux, we consider only those surfaces which are perpendicular. So I have to take first surface, this S1, and second surface S2. This will be the direction of area vector here, and this will be the direction of, because area vector is always taken perpendicular and outward. So this will be in this direction and this will be in this direction. Now let's solve electric flux. So electric flux for surface S1. So surface S1, that is phi 1. The formula for the electric flux is E dot dA. Now you see, at surface S1 carefully, area vector is in this direction and electric flux in this. Both are opposite direction. If two vectors are in opposite direction, so take a theta 180. Cos 180 is minus 1, so it will give you minus E dA. This is phi 1. Similarly, electric flux for surface S2. Look carefully. This is your S2. In S2 surface, area vector is in this direction and electric field is also in this direction. Both are in same direction, making an angle theta equals to 0. So your phi 2 will be vector E dot dA. So it will be E dA cos 0. Cos 0 is positive 1, so it will give you positive EA. So they are asking about the net flux. Again, remember, this flux is a scalar quantity. We don't take the direction, just consider the magnitude. So net flux will be phi 1 plus phi 2. Your phi 1 is minus EDA and your phi 2 is plus EDA. So your net flux will be 0 passing from the cylinder. So in similar manner, this question sometimes is changed. Instead of cylinder, they may ask you the question regarding the cube. They may say, this is just a similar type question. Again, electric field is acting in x direction and they are asking to calculate the flux. Now see, in this cube, again there are only two surfaces. Now this one surface is this towards the left and another surface is toward the right. Only these two surfaces are there from which electric field will be crossing perpendicular. This will be the direction of electric field, crossing these two surfaces perpendicular, and remaining all surfaces it will remain parallel. Again I am saying we only take those surfaces from which electric field lines are passing perpendicular. So just consider the two surfaces. This is surface S1 and this is surface S2. Again, area vector of this surface is outward, means in this direction, and area vector of this surface will be in this direction. So if we talk about the surface electric flux for the first surface, suppose I am taking phi 1, so it will give you E. Phi 1 is for this S1. So E dA cos 180, again it is minus of EDA, and if you take phi 2, it will give you E dA cos 0. Phi 2 means for this and phi 1 means for this. So cos 0 is again 1, so E times of dA. So your net flux, again the net flux will be phi 1 plus phi 2, positive and negative, so your net flux will be 0. So these are the few questions I have tried to cover regarding flux and Gauss law. You just download all the PDF in the description box, and you can just follow me on the Telegram to get all the videos from one side only, and you will be able to get all the PDFs on the Telegram. So just learn these questions and try to remember and practice daily. Thank you.